Hey guys, so in this video, I want to share with you how to build your first form in Leadformly and what kind of questions to ask in your form. So first of all, if you haven't already, I'd recommend taking a look at the free worksheet we've put together on planning an effective lead capture form. You can download this just below this video. And this just covers a lot of things that we're going to cover in this video in a bit more detail. It includes more examples and screenshots so that you can see some of the examples of what our customers have done, which might be able to kind of inform or provide some inspiration around what you could perhaps include in your own form. Also, at the end of this worksheet, we've got a planning section where you can plan out the structure of your first form. And this just makes it much, much easier and faster creating your first form, as you can kind of transfer those ideas from paper into Leadformly, rather than when you're building a form having to kind of simultaneously think about what questions to ask as well as building out the structure. So I'd highly recommend using this worksheet if you haven't already taken a look. So once you're ready to build your first form in Leadformly and you've chosen your template, you'll land on a page that looks something like this. This is our form builder in Leadformly, and this is where you're going to add and edit your questions. So as you can see down here, we have a section with the different steps in your form. This is a 3-step form. We have step 1, step 2, and the final step. And the reason we have multiple steps in our forms is because we found from lots of experiments and studies that have been done around form design, breaking your questions into multiple steps typically increases the conversion rate. We found from a lot of tests we've done that multi-step forms typically convert around 2 to 3 times better than if you asked all of your questions in one go on one step, which is typically how most traditional forms ask questions. So generally, I recommend asking 1 or 2 questions per step. And the first question in your form is very important. So we're going to quickly kind of go through some of the best practices around what to ask as the first question in your form. So what we found is that the first question in your form should be very, very easy to answer. It should also be something that ideally positions or gets the person using the form thinking about the end result of what they're going to receive or why they're going to benefit from filling out this form. So in this example, I'm imagining that I'm advertising agency or digital marketing agency. So the first question I've created is, what are your goals? And the options are increase conversion rates, get more conversions, get more phone leads, lower cost per conversion, etc. Now this is very intentional because someone who would be looking at a digital marketing agency website or advertising agency, we're getting them to think about the solution. We're getting them to think about increasing their conversion rates or getting more conversions, because this is going to increase their motivation to fill out this form. If this was a dating website, we might start with a question like, are you looking to meet a man or a woman? Because it then gets the person thinking about the end goal, the reason why they're on this website in the first place. So I'd recommend and encourage you to think about what is the end goal that your people visiting your website are trying to achieve, and what question could you ask that would kind of get them excited or get them thinking about the benefit of filling out your form. At the end of the day, there's only 2 ways that we can increase the likelihood of someone completing an action. That's either improving the ability, making it easier to do, or we can increase their motivation to do that action in the first place. So this first question is all about increasing motivation. We want to get the person excited or get them thinking about the end result. So moving on to the second question in your form, or another question that we'd recommend asking, is a qualifying question. This question is something that is going to tell you whether this lead is a low priority lead or a high priority lead. Low quality, time waster, or someone that deserves all of your best people's attention. So this can obviously take many different forms, but the answer for this question can also be used to segment your leads into different buckets. And then you can kind of use that segmentation to prioritize or personalize how you follow up with that lead to make it kind of more targeted. So for example, at Leadformly, I believe the qualifying question that we ask in our form is we ask for what type of business are they? Are they a startup, an agency, an enterprise, or a small business? And by knowing this, we can be, the emails that we then send to that person can be personalized to their type of business. If they say that they're an agency, we can send them emails around how to generate more leads as an agency. So this qualifying question tells you how the quality of the lead, as well as enabling you to do more personalized marketing. So if I was a digital agency, in this example, I'm asking for what is your monthly advertising spend? So if someone says, let's imagine that my as a agency marketing agency, my minimum client contract size is $25,000 a month. If someone said that their monthly advertising spend was below $25,000 a month, then I would know that this is probably not a suitable lead for us, and then you could maybe introduce them to another company that's more suitable. Whereas if someone said that they're spending over $500,000 a month, you might want to prioritize that lead, send it to a certain person, one of your top salespeople. Just enables you to kind of prevent all of your leads kind of randomly being assigned, and gives you a bit more information on the priority of that lead. You can obviously ask more questions in the middle of your form, things that you want to know about the lead, but I'd kind of recommend keeping your form as lean as possible. But having a qualifying question in there is very important. The final type of question that I'd recommend, so we've got our engaging first question, we've got our qualifying question. The third type is having obviously contact information questions. It's essential that you need to be able to contact your leads. Unfortunately, though, many companies overshoot here and they ask too much information, which causes potential leads to drop out and abandon the form. Generally, my recommendation is ask as little as possible when it comes to contact information. Contact information is where most people drop out in forms, particularly if you're asking for phone number and address. These days, people don't really like being interrupted via phone. And so asking phone number, we found typically results in the highest abandonment. Address also, unless you're sending someone something physical and they want to receive that thing physical in the mail, I highly recommend not asking for address. So generally, I recommend just asking for email and full name. But if you do need to ask additional questions like website address or company name, you can of course ask them here. But just bear in mind that it is a trade-off. The more that you ask, the fewer leads you're likely to receive. And so, there's a kind of degree of knowing you need to kind of be aware of. You're either going to get fewer leads but more information, or more leads but a bit less information. So it's kind of finding the balance between the two. And you can obviously, run A/B tests, create multiple forms to work out what is the right balance for you. The final thing that you need to do is create your call to action. So one of the best pieces of advice that I've received around call to actions is that the call to action, by the way, is the button at the end of the form. This is what people need to click in order to submit your form. So here you can see our call to action is get my free proposal. Now, as I was saying, one of the best pieces of advice I've received around writing compelling call to actions is to finish the sentence, I want to ... as spoken from the perspective of the person using your form. So if your form is promising someone that they're going to receive a free proposal, your call to action could be get my free proposal, because it finishes the sentence, I want to ... get my free proposal. If you're giving away a free consultation, it could be, I want to schedule my free consultation. So think about, from the perspective of your visitors, what do they want? Kind of imagine yourself in their shoes, say, I want to ... and the answer to that can be your call to action. So that's all I'm going to cover in today's video. In tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit more about designing your form, how to make it look beautiful, and using some of the features in the form customizer. But yeah, I hope that's been useful. As I say, you take a look at the worksheet, as there's lots more examples in there around what kind of questions to ask, and just some more kind of questions for inspiration. But yeah, I hope that's been useful.